What if one of the Bible's most beloved books had never become part of the Bible? That possibility was once very real. From ancient times, the Book of Esther was one of the most controversial books in the biblical canon. Among the Dead Sea Scrolls discovered at Qumran, every biblical book is represented except Esther. Rabbinic literature preserves traces of debates over whether Esther was written under divine inspiration. The problem was obvious. God's name never appears. There are no prophets, no miracles, no divine speeches. Most scholars date the Book of Esther to the 4th or 3rd century BCE. Carrymore notes that the book contains no Greek vocabulary, suggesting it was composed before the Hellenistic period. Jacob Klein further observes that its administrative terminology, personal names, and political setting all reflect the Persian Empire rather than the Greek world. The evidence points to a work deeply rooted in the Persian period. Unlike Ezra and Nehemiah, Esther never encourages the Jews to return to Judah. Instead, it presents a different reality. The Jewish community has become established throughout the Persian Empire. The central question is no longer how to return home. It is how to preserve Jewish identity while living in exile. Here the Book of Esther introduces one of the Bible's most sophisticated literary ideas. God is never mentioned. Yet every event seems carefully arranged. Vashti is removed. Esther becomes queen. Mordecai uncovers a conspiracy. Haman rises to power. The king cannot sleep on one crucial night. The royal chronicles are read. Mordecai's forgotten loyalty is suddenly remembered. At precisely that moment, Haman enters the palace. Each event appears entirely natural. Together, they form a pattern that is difficult to dismiss as mere coincidence. Jacob Klein describes the narrative as operating on two levels: the visible level, where history unfolds naturally, and the hidden level, where divine providence quietly guides every turn of the story. The theological center of the book appears in Mordecai's words to Esther, "For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place." What is this other place? The text never explains. Many Jewish interpreters and modern scholars understand it as a discrete reference to God. His name remains hidden. His actions do not. Esther's call for a 3-day fast further reflects trust in divine intervention, even though no prayer is explicitly recorded. The absence of God's name is not a theological weakness. It is a deliberate literary strategy. Rather than acting through spectacular miracles, God works through ordinary history. Through political decisions. Through human courage. Through timing. Through what appears to be coincidence. The reader is invited to discover God's presence without ever being told where to look. This hidden providence mirrors the experience of the Jewish people living in exile, where God's presence is no longer obvious, but no less real. The Book of Esther is not a story about God's absence. It is a story about God's hidden presence. It teaches that divine providence does not always appear through miracles. Sometimes it works through history itself. Perhaps that is why God's name never appears in the book. Because Esther challenges every generation to recognize God's hand even when it remains unseen.